Welcome to Hamer Reviews. My name is Christopher Hamer and today we're reviewing the Bose QuietComfort Earbuds II. Now, among all that attention that the Apple AirPods Pro 2nd generation launch got, I almost feel like Bose's launch of the QuietComfort Earbuds II kind of went under the radar a little bit. I'm not saying there wasn't media coverage, there clearly was, but it felt like there was slightly less than they perhaps would have got if the timing had been slightly different. But these £280 noise-cancelling Bluetooth in-ear wireless headphones are perhaps a really interesting move by Bose. They are a vast improvement on their original QuietComfort earbuds, which were frankly far too large, and introduce a new sort of design that they're going with. They've got sort of all new technology in them. They've got calibration that's going on every time you put them in your ear. So these are completely rebuilt, and clearly Bose is trying to go for the top end of the market with that £280 price point, which makes them £30 more expensive than the aforementioned Apple AirPods Pro 2. But has Bose managed to deliver? Well, in this case, I think they have, with a few caveats. So let's get into it. I am actually quite a fan of Bose's in-ear wireless headphones, and indeed their wired ones. Specifically, I had I think it was the QC20Is, which had a little battery pack attached to them, but they were in-ear headphones, they were really good. Then we had the QC30s, they used a neckband, they were awful. And then we got the weird QuietComfort ones, where I checked out because that wasn't my jam, but these are very much more interesting. Gone are the weird all-in-one rubber bands which included the wingtips. We now have a separate sort of wingtip and actual silicone ear tip, so that's very different to the previous design. They stick out a lot less. Like, don't get me wrong, they're still large, like this is clearly very obvious. However, it's still a lot smaller and lower profile than the previous generation, so perhaps Bose has found their way a little bit. In terms of sound quality, I feel like Bose, generally speaking, gets it right. They can get a decent sound which is enjoyable for the majority of people. Now, there have been many Bose products I haven't been a huge fan of, and many of you have probably heard the joke of Bose standing for buy other sound equipment. I think, though, with these earbuds, they are actually not a bad buy if you can live with some of the slightly more small frustrations which, however, might get on your nerves over longer periods of listening. But that important thing of sound quality and noise cancellation definitely is very good when it comes to these earbuds. Sound quality is always very subjective, and I try to be as objective as I can, but with these I'm going to tell you what I like, which is these have really nice deep bass. It felt like it was an enjoyable level of bass, but it wasn't earth-shattering, but definitely more so than I've had on many in-ear wireless earbuds. I would most compare them to the WF-1000XM4s by Sony, which had sort of that similar sound profile, but they're very nice. But the rest of it is buttery smooth mid-range and highs. So the highs are really clear, very crisp, and the soundstage is very wide, but it's just there's no real dip, so you don't have to play around with the EQ settings too much. You can get a really nice sound straight out of the box. Now, don't get me wrong, as I said, it's very subjective, but to me the sound of these is excellent. I enjoyed all of the music I listened to, from some slightly heavier industrial to more mainstream pop. They just sound very good. I do like the fact that the Bose app has a EQ that you can use, because that really allows you to tweak the sound if you want to. In my case, I added +1 to the bass, and I was a pretty happy camper. I did play around with the treble a little bit, but I just found how it was out of the box was very much acceptable. For £280, the other things these things really have to do well is the noise cancellation. And I think one thing many people will agree on, Bose's noise cancellation technologies were among the best for many, many years, and they still pretty much are. These have some of the best active noise cancellation I have used in earbuds to date. The thing that these have done better than pretty much any other earbuds that I've used, is cancelling out those higher annoying tones that other headphones just can't. So I have a review of the Apple AirPods Pro 2nd generation up as well. But to me, the big difference in noise cancellation is both of them can do a lot of things really well, and I think both have really improved speech, really cutting out the noise of people around us. Perhaps with all of the audio engineers having been working from home, perhaps during COVID, they decided when they got back in the offices what they wanted was peace and quiet, and their way of doing it was to tweak all the algorithms. But that's fantastic. But these can cut out those higher pitch sounds. For instance, on a train, the sort of sound of the rails as you're going along, it cuts that kind of thing out quite a lot. It can also cut out higher pitch sort of fans and things in the background. It does that magnificently. Alongside that, honestly, if you're on a plane, train, etc., it just cuts out so much background noise. It's incredible. These are very good, and they are undoubtedly the best in noise cancellation that I've tried in a very long time. I would like to add to that, you know, noise cancellation is something that can be improved as we go forward. So, you know, with firmware updates in the future, you might even find other things being improved. But so far, in terms of noise cancellation, I really don't have anything else that I can add other than it's excellent. So that takes me on to some of my gripes. Because there are some things I need to address. And the elephant in the room, literally, is the size of this charging case. It's really big. And it's quite heavy. And despite that, this case will only deliver an additional 18 hours of battery life on top of the 6 hours that the earbuds are delivering. What gives there? That really, to me, is kind of an oversight. I would expect this case to be a lot smaller. And, you know, yes, the earbuds aren't the smallest, but there's no reason for the case to be this big. I'm genuinely a bit disappointed because at the end of the day, these are things that are expected to be carried around each and every day, and this is taking up a sizable amount of pocket space. It isn't as fat as some of the cases, such as the Sony one comes to mind again, WF-1000XM4s that I've reviewed on this channel as well. But that was sort of a sort of pillbox shape. This is just sort of well, it's a large rectangle, I guess, but it's too big. Especially now we've got the AirPods Pro 2nd gen, which the case feels even smaller than the previous gen. It might not be, it might just be in my head, but it's a really small case. And yeah, I just, that's annoying to me. It really is. And battery life wise, again, like with the case, only an extra 18 hours. I feel like Bose could have done slightly better there, especially if they've got such a big case. And even then, the hinge isn't even metal, it's plastic. So yeah, I'm not entirely sure what's going on here. It does have USB-C charging, which is great. And also wireless too. But yeah, I don't get the whole large case thing. It really annoys me. So here I'm on the fence, okay, because this could be annoying to you, it might not be. I get that many manufacturers have their sort of startup sounds or so on, and these play a chime, which apparently is a proprietary tune that they use to customize the noise cancellation. Now, I can or cannot say whether it makes a big difference. Obviously, I've just told you that the noise cancellation is really good, but I find it's just like a bit annoying to put something in my ear and just be greeted by like a whole load of violins or whatever they are, or this tone anyway, just starting up every time. I just think it's excessive. Maybe give us the choice if we want to have that happen each time. Maybe we'll decide that there's not that much difference. I obviously don't know, because it happens almost immediately as soon as you put them in your ears. So I can't tell you whether or not it's making a huge difference to noise cancellation. Obviously it's there, so Bose wanted it to. But yeah, that's another thing. And I guess this isn't a gripe, but it's something to be aware of, and that's the fit of these headphones, which is really, really, really important, right? Because if you get the fit wrong, then they're going to sound awful, because if you have sound leaking past them, the noise cancellation is going to work properly. Equally, you're not going to get the best sound. So fit is important. You get this little kit, which includes 2 different sized wingtips on top of the one that you've already got on there, plus the small and large ear tips as well. I've actually found medium works really well for me, so that's good. These are really easy to replace. I had a play, so that's good as well. So that's nice. But even beyond that, the way you put them into your ears is critical. I mean that. So you'd think you just put them in and that's it. But actually, right now, I do not have a very good seal. The trick is once they're in your ear, to turn them slightly, I think it's counterclockwise, and then they sort of pull into your ear a little bit more, and that gives you that perfect fit. Now, it's a bit of a weird one because I'm not used to doing that on other earphones or earbuds that I own. And it's just really important that you do it. I feel like, again, could we have had a design where we hadn't had to almost corkscrew them into your ears? Maybe that's how they're getting better noise cancellation, though. I don't know. You know, there could be a good reason for it. But again, it's just one of those things that I found slightly frustrating having to think about that. This being said, once they are in your ears, you're going to get a superb fit that is not going to move around. These are very stable and there's no chance of them falling out of your ears. I really believe that. They do, as I say, almost like a corkscrew, pull into your ears, and they are not going anywhere once they're in. I'm fairly certain, although I haven't tried it, you could do pretty much any sport and not worry. Obviously not water sports, but beyond that, you'd be fine. So that is good. Also, once they're in, another thing that I'd like to call out as something really good is the controls. The controls are really good in terms of the whole flat side being a touch sensor, which I can easily use to change the volume. And then you can also tap to start playing music, stop playing music, tap and hold to change the noise cancellation mode. You do have some nice customization in the app, but generally speaking, having that entire pad as a touch sensor is a nice touch and does make the experience better. So the app's interesting. Once again, it's a new app from Bose. I swear every time I get a new product from them, I have to download a new app. But anyhow, this one is called Bose Music, and it'll allow you to change the volume as you'd expect. It also allows you to change your noise cancellation modes. There's 3 by default: quiet, aware, and commute. Now, quiet is what you'd expect, match noise cancellation. Aware is an interesting one. It's kind of designed for, you know, walking around a city, etc. It cancels out the majority of sounds, but in theory, it's supposed to let through enough that you're aware of your surroundings. And then commute is basically a way of you changing the level of noise cancellation, so you can choose quite how much you want, and then you can also create your own mode, call it whatever you like, and then attribute the amount of noise cancellation you want or don't want, so that's nice too. You can obviously see your sources, and then you have that all-important EQ button, which allows you to change things from treble, mid-range, and highs. Perhaps it would be nice to have a little bit more granularity, but to be fair, at least you have those 3 to choose from, because I know obviously sometimes we don't get any choices. You can also attribute the shortcut, so that's the left long press and right long press. You can attribute those to different things. For instance, you can use it to activate your voice assistant of choice, or in my case, to actually change the noise cancellation modes, which I found most useful. You also have a really nice thing, which is the ear tip fit test. Now, once they're in your ears, you can actually run the test, and it will, as long as they're in your ears, and it will play a tone again, and it will check whether you've got a good fit and whether you're going to get good noise cancellation. I like this because if you're having issues, it's perhaps a really good way of just double checking that you're not doing anything wrong before you go back to the shop and say, these aren't working. So it is nice to have that. They also have a handy little graphic which shows you how to use them and also describes my slight frustration with how to fit them too, but you can see that for yourself. You also can update firmware and that kind of thing, but generally speaking, the rest is as you'd expect. The Bose QuietComfort Earbuds II are very good. They are excellent, in fact. Do they, however, justify £280? I do think it's a lot of money for a set of in-ear noise-cancelling headphones. I think £250 that Apple's charging for the AirPods Pro is also a lot of money. Are they worth it? Well, that's going to be up to you. I am inclined to keep these as daily earphones because they are quite comfortable, even though it's a bit annoying putting them into place. But, you know, at the end of the day, it's just a lot of money, so I am going to have to think about it. The other thing that we need to check is the quality of the microphones. Obviously, they've got microphones for noise cancellation, but you can use them to make calls too. And I'm pleased to say that the microphones in these are pretty good. They sound okay. As with any headphones, when the microphone is so far away from your mouth, there's only so much they can pick up. And you know, these are pretty much the best of what you can get. They're very similar to the Apple AirPods Pro, and they sound fine. I wouldn't conduct a conference call with them, and I certainly would try not to use them in a very busy area. But if you have to make a phone call through them, you absolutely can. But again, here's a sound test and you can make your own mind up. So this is an audio test with the Bose QuietComfort Earbuds II. This is the kind of sound quality you're going to get if you're using them to make a phone call in a relatively, admittedly quiet place. But yeah, this is the audio quality from the Bose QuietComfort Earbuds II. I think they're very good, but they're obviously very expensive, so you will probably want to think long and hard whether it's worth it for you. Personally, I'm still not entirely sure. I think these are an interesting pair of earbuds. They have fantastic noise cancellation, which does make them very tempting. But equally, my Sony WH-1000XM3s, which, although getting on a bit, are still excellent at that too. So I'm not entirely sure I need a set of earbuds that have that same capability of noise cancellation for daily drivers. The music on them sounds very good, and as I said, the microphone's not bad either, and the build quality is excellent, though I do wish this charging case was a bit smaller. Perhaps if the charging case was smaller, I would be more inclined to use them daily. I'm just not sure that I want to carry around something this big in my pocket all the time. So there you have it. That's what I think about the Bose QuietComfort Earbuds 2. A solid improvement by Bose and very good, just a couple of small issues that will influence your decision. If you have any questions about them, pop them in the comment section below. I'll help as much as I can. Equally, if you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe, because it really helps me out. Thank you very much for watching. I do hope I see you again next time. Goodbye.